Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. How many of you guys have seen the movie Adaptation? Adaptation. It's an old one. It's not that great. But there is a beautiful, beautiful lesson that just turned me inside out and upside down. I had to replay the scene over and over and over again. It's about these two brothers. It's played by Nicolas Cage. And they're identical twins. And their characters are that they're bald and they have frizzy hair, and both of them are pretty plump. So there's nothing in particular that would make you go, ooh, no wonder this person, or ooh, no wonder that person. One brother is very gregarious, and he snaps his fingers, and all the people come around and they're like, hey, what's going on? And they're having the time of their life, right? The other brother, played by the same character, is very pessimistic and he's very negative, and they're both movie producers. And he is just disgusted by his brother. Just disgusted. He says, "You are just an embarrassment. You're not living in reality. You know, you think everything's just a piece of cake, and everything happens for you." And he's just very negative, very down. Well, during the course of the movie, they find themselves in a swamp, and they're about to be killed by Meryl Streep's character. Okay, so she's walking through the swamp. She's like, I can hear them breathing. He's going to kill him, right? So both of them have their backs up against a rock, just like this. And the very pessimistic brother, okay, so I'll do him from over here, and he says, brother, he goes, I don't want to die. And the very gregarious one says, brother, you're not going to die. Very negative brother says, you don't understand, brother. I've never really lived. Not like you. You're so oblivious. And he goes, I'm not oblivious. He goes, no, I mean that in a really, really good way. Let me tell you something. When we were kids, I watched you go up to the most beautiful girl in the whole school and profess your love to her. He goes, oh, yeah, Sarah, so beautiful. He goes, yeah, Sarah. You went up to her and you just oozed all kinds of love towards her. And I was watching you through the library window. And the minute you turned around and you walked off, I watched Sarah and her best friend Kim started laughing at you. They were making fun of you. They were putting you down. And I made a decision that day that would never be me. I will never open my heart up like that to anyone like that. To have my heart crushed by somebody laughing at me and making fun of me. Very gregarious brother says, brother, I knew they were laughing at me. I knew they were making fun of me. He's like, but you seem so happy. He goes, yeah. I decided a long time ago, life is about what you love, not what loves you. That love I had for Sarah, it was mine. I owned it. Not even Sarah could take it away. Just because she was making fun of me, that was her. The love I had for her. Life is about what you love, not what loves you. What if it's true? What if we forgave our debtors as we ourselves have been forgiven of our debts? What if we didn't hold grudges that said for a lifetime, that will never be me. I will never be made fun of. I will never open my heart up again. Somebody to crush it. You know what Mark Twain said? What forgiveness is? Forgiveness is likened to the fragrance that is released from the flower by the heel that has crushed it. That sweet aroma. It says, that love, it was mine. I owned it. And not even Sarah could take that away. Not even her making fun could take that away from me. So the brother starts to cry, right? And the scene ends, right? So we just get back from this cruise that we have been planning for a year. It was on my mom's bucket list by the time she turned 80. So a year ago, we had planned to go to New England and Canada. And how many of you guys have been on a cruise? Okay, and how many guys really get the culture? That when you get on that cruise ship, it's like whatever cares you had are left behind because you are now about to be loved fully and taken care of, right? Is the expectation. Even if you've never felt it in your life, it's like, woohoo, I'm finally going to get what I never had. I mean, well, that is available. And yet, as an observer, I watched people that fully embraced it. It was like, woohoo, welcome to the cruise ship, welcome. And I saw people go, woo, we're here. And then you see, hey, welcome to the cruise ship. And it's like, we'll see. And we'll see. And then even in line at the excursion, people were in line to just complain, right? Or people were in line to say, where do we get to go today, right? We had a captain's question and answer. There were people complaining about the portions were too big, whatever it was, right? We were actually in the middle of a hurricane. And it was amazing. So the ship, in fact, I'm feeling a little bit of that rocking going on, right? You guys know that when you get off the cruise, it's like, whoa, everything's still moving, right? Literally, Greg sent a video to Ed where he opens up our balcony door and it's like, whoosh, and the phone goes and everything goes, right? So some people are like, wee! You know, let's just go, man. We're rocking and rolling. And so he said, I want my money back. This is not what I signed up for. This is, you know, right? But isn't that true to life? It's like, wait a minute. This isn't what I signed up for? Or wait a minute. Whoa. Let's, you know, we also did this thing called iFly on the ship. Have you guys seen where you can actually experience skydiving, but you're actually in the tube, right? With the same winds that come up, okay? I loved it so much. I said, please, let's do this thing again. So we had, the first instructor was very much about the rules, very much about being safe, and very much about So literally, consequently, we experienced people watching them in that tube. And the wind, and they're white knuckling it. They're just like, oh, they're almost fighting the wind just to stay, you know, horizontal like you're flying, right? And it was almost like a relief when they were done. Everybody only had 1 minute, and I said, oh no, I'm going into this thing, and because the sign is, because you can't hear anything, is to relax, legs straight, bend them a little, and there was one other I can't remember. You know, but you know, you're always doing hand signals, right? So I said, no, I'm gonna let go, and I'm gonna let the wind hold me, right? And I'm smiling, and then I feel something. I said, is there moisture in here? It was my stick. It was crazy. I'm like, no way. But I'm smiling and I'm going, you know, like this, and everything. So I said, let's do it again. So I let everybody know, and we had a different instructor. Now this instructor came in and I, woo, we're gonna do this thing. And he says, if not, bam, you're gonna hit into the side of the wall. I mean, just very dramatic, very gregarious. And he was like, he came up and he's like, brother, are you ready to go? You know, I mean, just, you know, and I think so. He goes, because we're going to have fun, and you're really going to have fun. I mean, it was just amazing. So we all went in there, and literally, I'm even more excited. And he grabs a hold of my middle and takes me up to the top of the tunnel and back down. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I was like, woo! Right? I mean, it was amazing. were good, but look at the difference, right, of the instructors. Look at the difference of standing in line. There was a group of people complaining to the captain, and yet the captain kept his cool, right? And he says, please take that up with guest services. We have people that will hear all of your complaints. Then one woman stands up, almost crying, and says, I cannot tell you how grateful I am that we've had you at the helm of this storm, this hurricane that we were in, because you allowed us to have peace knowing you were there. Just that small opening of gratitude, he says, let me tell you something. It was like an act of Congress. When I got permission, because we had to delay the departure, I got permission. It's never been done before to take you guys by the Statue of Liberty and all of Manhattan at night. That was the rarest treat ever. Look at the opening that was there because somebody was grateful.
Amen.
Somebody was grateful, and he was saying, guys, I did this for you. And it was the first time he'd ever missed his captain's reception because he wasn't going to leave the helm. He wasn't going to leave the helm. And we think about this, how this plays such a part in us as being a unity group. Remember how I've talked about how exciting that we can be the group of people that people want to come and study. Because we're one of the blue zones. We're one of the people that when we come together, there is such an upliftment that people can't help but want to be either curious or join. What are they up to? What are they doing that is so uniquely awesome that they're living longer, they're healthier, they're happier because they've come together, because we've congregated together, because we've said, I see you and who you are matters to me, and we mean it. We live our lives in such a way that life is about what we love, not what's loving us. It reminds me so much of our Charles Fillmore. This is what he says out of his book that is so powerful to me. I can't even read it enough. But this is right directly from Charles Fillmore. He says, Jesus never organized a church on earth. Neither did he authorize anyone else to do so. He said to Peter, upon this rock I will build my church, in Matthew 16:18. He did not tell Peter that he was to be the head of the church with a line of popes to follow. He said, I will build my church, an assembly, and called out ones. Jesus is still the head of his assembly. And its only organization is in spirit. Guys, that's all we're ever being led by and listening to is the Holy Spirit within our hearts, are our greatest teacher. Right? He gave but one guide, one source from which his followers should receive their inspiration. This is Jesus' teachings, right? The Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name. He shall teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I said unto you. That's it. And this is so much what I love about our gathering here on Sundays too, is that every time I smell the paper burning, it's a campfire. It's a place where we're all warm, where we offer up our praise, we have what we want to let go. And in each other's eyes, when we greet each other, we're always reminded of our worth. We're always reminded that that is not up for negotiation. That is not determined by a family member. That is not determined by anybody else but God, your Creator. No one tells you your worth. Holy Spirit reminds us of who we are in Christ, who we are as children of God, that we are worthy. Now, You guys, I read this on the ship, and I tell you what, it stuck out to me so much because in A Course in Miracles, which reminds us also that there is one major difference in the role of heaven's messengers. So we're all God's messengers, right? But there is a major difference which sets them off from those who the world appoints, right? There's a big difference, okay? Because anybody can regurgitate what they've heard, right? Anybody. And call themselves a preacher, call themselves a minister, call themselves whatever. But there's a big difference who heaven appoints, right? The message that they deliver are intended first for themselves. First! That is the biggest difference, guys, of anybody who is studied, who is appointed by the world or whatever. That is the biggest difference between heaven's appointed messenger and the world. Is that the heaven's messengers the message that they delivered are intended first for them. And it is only as they can accept them for themselves that they become able to bring them further and to give them everywhere of where they were meant to be. And that we trust that. Like earthly messengers, they did not write the message they bear, but they become their first receivers in the truest sense, receiving to prepare themselves to give. So, I read this, right? And the night before, there was a dance party where after everything's all said and done, everybody could go out there and dance. And it ends up that, Mom and Cheryl, who we were there with, they really didn't want to. So we all decided to turn in that night. And I was disappointed because I thought, oh man, I really wanted to dance. I wanted to move. And I instead of dwelling on that, I said, I'll dance tomorrow. I'll make sure I dance tomorrow. If nobody's out on that dance floor, I'm dancing, right? So the next night, Greg and I, we say, okay, the music's going and the band is out there. And I said, come on, it's a twist and shout thing, right? So we get up there and we're like, twist and shout. And Greg's like, nobody's out. And I said, exactly. I said, let's just go. That should be an example of life is about what you love, not what's loving you, not what's giving you the approval. However, there were a couple ladies out there before that looked like maybe they were part of a special needs group, right? So I said, listen, if we're bad, we just say we're part of the special needs group, right? That's it. So come on. I mean, who's going to remember? Nobody knows us here. It's awesome. We'll be anonymous. It'll be just fine. So my mom and her friend, they're like, go, dance, do your thing. So we're out there, and I'm telling you, we're dancing like nobody's watching, right? And it was awesome. So the guy from the band comes by, gives us a pin. I said, oh, awesome, we get a pin for dancing. Look at us go. Right? So there were only 3 couples out there because other people started to join us. They said, okay, those of you with the pin, please stay on the floor. I said, oh, there was something about that. And I'm not too sure on cruise ships, what they end up having you do. So it's not always great to volunteer, right? So we're out there and they go, we're going to have a dance contest. Well, we just ended up, just dancing. However, Greg doesn't think he's like the greatest. I said, just from your heart, just move, whatever it is. And he did, and we won. We won the dance contest. How fun was that? So I'm super inspired. So we go and I had a prayer that morning at breakfast after I was reading this. And I said, God, they're having this love and marriage game show on stage tonight. There is like 5,000 people there in like the audience there. I said, if it works out, awesome. You know how much we love being on stage. So we volunteer. So you've got people who have just been married, people who've been married maybe 10 years, and people who've been there the longest. Okay? So we go up there and we have to do this acting out of Tarzan, the scene from Tarzan. I mean, just, stupid kind of thing. So it ends up, we're up on stage. Here was the real blessing. The couple that won was the couple that was together for 58 years. And I'm telling you, we were all riveted on them because they ask questions that get you riled, right? Like, what one thing would you like to make smaller on your spouse, and what would you like to make bigger? Okay, Greg goes, okay, you realize there's no winning, right? So he picks something. So says, oh, he's make her lips bigger and her eyelashes smaller. And so when I come out, he's like, if you get the answers to this, you get the keys to the ship and you can do donuts with it, and you get $10 million. So it was just like impossible answers, right? They go to the older couple and they say, what is it that still drives you crazy? Well, they had first asked him, what family member does your spouse hate? You can't stand. Oh, and are they on the ship? Oh my God! And it's being recorded, right? So you can take it home to your, for Thanksgiving, right? You're going to share this. So it was amazing because, well, they got right off the bat because he says, oh, her sister Barbara, right? So that was a given, right? But then they asked him, what would you change? There's got to be something that still just grades on you. You can't stand it. And she's like, no. She goes, come on. There's got to be something. And she's like, no. He goes, so you're telling me your husband's perfect? And he put the microphone back to her and she goes, he's perfect. And what do you think the audience did? Oh, right? Isn't that the very thing you would love to hear from your spouse? They're perfect. So Greg and I have the beautiful opportunity, because we had to go behind the scenes. I got a chance to really talk to her. He got a chance to really talk to him. So behind the scenes, she's like, I had bypass surgery, and we had to postpone this. They didn't think I was going to make it, right? They had to reroute in her heart all this stuff to make her heart start pumping again. She had a new lease on life. And she said, there is nothing wrong with my husband. And the secret is to fall in love with him every day, anew. Every day. 58 years of wisdom. Imagine that. Imagine that our group, Unity, wakes up every day renewing our minds with, Father, it's a new day. Forgive me of my debts as I forgive anyone who's hurt me. Anyone who's trespassed against me. That I may be free to live. Really live anew every day. And what about that quote, right? Life is about what you love, not what loves you, right? So please, I'd love to hear from you guys. What came up for you just from hearing from our Charles Fillmore, from what really truly makes up the messengers from heaven? You guys, we've got the script already appointed in heaven. Already. We just have to get in alignment with what that is. And how do we do that? We don't hold grudges. We don't hold those resentments for those who have hurt us because we're too busy loving. We're too busy with what is in store for us right now, right? Because it's gone. It's gone. And life is really made up of moments, because the cruise wasn't all woo. We had, people rocking, people getting sick, to drop people off in New York. And when we did get to New York yesterday, just yesterday, guys, we went to the 9/11 memorial. How many of you guys have seen that? 18 years ago, the Twin Towers went down. And just May of this year, they completed the final cleanup. 18 years. It was powerful. They have these huge waterfalls where the Twin Towers were that went down but in the center, another waterfall that went into an abyss. It was very haunting. And every name that was in every single one of those towers were there. And it was a reminder, how are we living every day? How are we more alive? Because it goes like that in a moment. And that we don't have to be caught up in that every moment has to be, some kind of glorious opera moment. But there are those moments that take our breath away. And they're powerful. And that, are we really okay when there is the downtime too? Because the downtime is just as necessary as the high. We're not always on a cruise, right? But we have moments that are cruise-like, all the time, every day. So what comes up for you? You kind of think about how we can walk around, how we walked around with hurt that have really devastated us. And you guys, justifiably so. Justifiably so. We've been wronged, or we've wronged someone. That's just humanity, right? But how is it that we step into? Can you give me an example of how in your life you've noticed that when you walk around with those resentments, like the negative brother, right? Where you've got like bricks that you're just, and it's just enough to take a pill to make it through the day because they've been so heavy, right? And there's a quote by a beautiful doctor, right? He says, be kind. Everybody's fighting something. All of us, even the people who are dedicated, right, to having moments of glory all the time. And I read these things and I'm like, Father, for me first. For me first. Let me get this. Let me finally wake up just a little bit more. Become just a little bit more aware of what's available versus what's been done to me. Because, boy, I've got a lot of excuses. I've got a long list of who's been hurtful, right? And I've also got a long list of the grace God has for me that is allowing me to still breathe, to still live, to still give love. And there was a moment on the ship where a woman, much older woman, was just crying like a baby and just so angry at her husband because he wouldn't get up that morning and she was going to miss out on an excursion. I just got a little snippet. And I just was moved in that moment that I went next to her. I just went right up to her and I just said, she's like, I'm fine, really, I'm fine. And I said, okay, all right. And I just rubbed her back. And I said, what's going on? She said, my husband wouldn't get up and I'm missing out on this. And I said, well, did you kick him? And she started laughing. And she just started laughing in that moment. And it broke it for a moment. And she said, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because it's like, does it really matter? He wasn't feeling well. He didn't want to get up. And Greg was like, well, what was really going on with him? I said, honey, does it really matter? It doesn't. Because we're all triggered by expectations that didn't turn out the way that we thought they were going to do. And what are we going to do for each other when it doesn't happen? Can we come up beside each other, each other's back, and we say, okay, doesn't matter the story, doesn't matter, I'm here. Can we commit to being here for each other like that? I'm here. It doesn't really matter.
First of all, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. You're so full. I mean, you've given a mini talk in so many of the things that you said, but what just was triggered for me in that moment, it's trending right now, the coach that disarmed, the coach that disarmed. And I think that is so important. 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 And I think that is so important the young man that was going to come into the school.
Yes.
And start shooting. And then when he took the gun away, he hugged him. And everyone could, talk about what was going on with him. But in that moment, and he responded. He hugged him back. And you could see him kind of fighting with the hug, but then he hugged him back. And it's like what you're speaking about being kind and being generous with each other, even moving beyond our fear. And I just wanted to say, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
I just celebrated my birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
And there's a book, and the title is slipping a little bit this morning. It's about the Aboriginals in Australia.
Yes.
Okay. And she speaks about how they don't celebrate a birthday every year just automatically. You have to have something that happened during the year that transformed you in some way in order for you to have a celebration.
Oh, wow.
And so I have had adequate amount of stuff.
Transformation, amen.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so. Do you guys know what she's talking about? There was a YouTube video on the way back. We were watching some news.
Down Under. What is the name of it?
I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, it was powerful. We were watching it on the way home, but there was a kid who went into his school with a shotgun. He's about ready to shoot his classmates, and he was having a really hard time, right? So he comes in there armed, which most people would just be devastatedly fearful and not doing it. And there was a beautiful man, a teacher, coach, that came up and talked to him, directly to him. And he says, every life is worth living. Every life deserves that. And even yours. And he talked him down, and he got the gun, the big shotgun, handed it off to another teacher. Now, at that point, he was free, right? What he did was so exquisitely extraordinary. He leaned into that boy, and he wrapped his arms around him. And the boy was fighting him with the hug, but then gave in to the hug. Because that is what our soul yearns for, to be embraced, to be accepted by another that says, I see you, and you matter. Now, there'll be consequences for this boy, but in that moment, he got love. And he saw that there was an opportunity for him to at least receive something. It was powerful, so thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Who else? Yes.
Having gone through your family, like we're sort of like the Michael Jackson that was in the Christian realm, so we went in thousands of churches before. There was a lot of abuse that was going on. From my mother's standpoint, not my father's, to perform, to be everything, and I just said, I don't want to be a dancer anymore, Right. The lack of value and all that. So I've struggled with this most of my life and being sick, but I believe we all go through new seasons. So I went through a season. The Lord spoke to me, the Spirit and within me spoke to me very clearly, and He said, I only want you to go around where you're celebrated. Mm-hmm. Then that would stop this system of abuse. Mm-hmm. Don't go and try and prove yourself and how valuable are. Stop it and go live in unity, peace with me, and go where you're celebrated. So when I have to go into situations that are bad situations, I have all of His glory around me and all of His love, and I'm able to be that coach to hug those because He sent me there. Like His protection is with me, but protection is not there if I go outside of that and go where I'm not celebrated.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful. It really hit me on the ship there when we were about to go fly in that night. Everybody's high-fiving because everybody's scared, right? We needed each other, and it was like we didn't know each other from anywhere, right? But it was like, woohoo, high-five. I thought, here's a break of what happens, why there isn't community, why there isn't where people come together. It's abuse creeps up. There's affairs, there's whatever. And I thought, no wonder people are turned away and against that because of being so hurt. And that's why it's up to us. There is something that was so profound when I was in New York, even with the police. They're like, listen, we notice anything that's not that's suspicious? What if we said, hey, we don't do that here? You know, and we called it out. And we said, listen, that's not okay. And it's not who you are. Who you are is a beautiful child of God. And we brought it to the forefront. Because, guys, here's the downfall. It's in the secrets, right? We're sick is our secret.
Yeah.
So when we don't say, that's it hurt, they leave, I'm out, I don't want anything to do with whatever, right? But what if we vowed that when you see something, you say something, and it is in love. It is in love. That there's no taboo about speaking truth in love, no matter what. Because it's not always going to be woohoo highs, right? Even on the cruise ship where it's woohoo, they have a barge. You guys, am I saying that word right? It's a cruise jail, and it's cushy. But if you're like really misbehaved, a brig. See, I knew I said that. Yeah, thank you for that correction. A brig, right? A barge. What's a barge? It's like a ferry. Okay, right. Right. So a brig. That's exactly right. It's a brig. I said, what? There's cruise jail? They said, oh yeah. You know, somebody's like swinging, acting out, punching.
The sporting arena jail.
A sporting arena jail. It's like, hey, it's cushy, but you need a timeout, right? Same thing in every community. Do you know that there's a community? It's in the over in Europe area. If somebody in the community is very rural living, right? But if somebody is a thief or acts out or does something, you know, that's not in alignment, you know what they do? They have a ceremony, and everybody gathers around them, and they're put in the center, and they are told all the beautiful things that they've ever done.
Wow.
Of who they really are. You're better than us. You are so gifted. You are so talented. I am not going to let you forget who you are until they break and say, all right, I'm great. All right, I'm a good person. Right? And that's their punishment. Imagine they have no need. That is their, what is it called? Brig. That's their brig. Okay, even on the cruise ship, it's cushy. You need a time out. You need to think about that. You need to not behave that way. It's not attracting people towards you. It's repelling people. It is repelling. When you put a cell in a petri dish and you got toxicity or you have nutrients, right? The cell is moving towards the nutrients. The toxicity, the cell is moving away. Because there's consciousness in everything, every cell in our being. So let this be a place that, because of nutrients, we're moving towards each other. We're better because we're together. We're better. And there's no abuse that stands for very long in this environment. Because it's not okay here. Are we all in agreement of that?
Amen.
Everybody, amen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's safe here. You get to be here. Okay, with that, Mr. Ray,
Okay.
you come up and just, out of the generosity of your heart, we're just going to share what we got because God multiplies what we give. Thank you, Jesus. Huh?
Thank you very much, Tamara. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your cruise experiences with us. There were a lot of lessons on that cruise. Not the least of which is what the experience you go through life with, the attitude you go through life with has a great deal to do with the outcome you get in the life. So if you're not only yourself, but other people as well, everyone you have experience with benefits from your attitude of truth and love. You experience that. It's time to offertory blessing. I'd like to invite you to take your gift in your hand. As we realize, the law of circulation works just as well here as anywhere, that as you give,